Welcome to the Leader's Edge, where we celebrate leadership and shine a light on the visionary leaders that are shaping our future. Hi, I'm HR Huntsman, founder of Leader's Edge, creator of the Leader's Edge Performance Engine and Leader's Edge University. And I am thrilled to bring you stories from leaders who are making a difference around the world. In each and every episode, we champion the innovative strategies, courageous decisions, and inspiring journeys of those who lead with purpose and passion. So whether you're looking to refine your leadership skills or you simply want to be inspired, my friend, you are in the right place. Today's guest is someone who embodies reinvention, intention, and innovation in a way that few can match. When I first began to learn of this lady, she inspired me by just looking at her website and some of the talks that she had done. I know she's going to inspire you. Who am I talking about? Sylvie di Giusto. She's an international keynote speaker, former corporate powerhouse in Europe, and now, get this, the world's first 3D immersive keynote speaker. She's led high-level HR strategy and leadership development for Fortune 100 companies. She's launched groundbreaking learning programs and worked with organizations like American Express, Microsoft, Hilton, and even my alma mater, the U.S. Air Force. But what makes Sylvie so compelling isn't just her resume, it's her story. Years ago, she walked away from a successful executive career overseas to start over in a new country with no network, no guarantees, and no backup plan. What she did have was vision, resilience, and a deep belief in the power of perception and intentional decision making. She's the author of The Image of Leadership and Discover Your Fair Advantage. She's built a career helping leaders lead better, sell faster, and persuade instantly, one intentional choice at a time. So get ready for a conversation about presence, reinvention, and what it really takes to make an unforgettable impact in any room that you walk into. So here's my conversation with the remarkable Sylvie di Giusto. Sylvie, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm so excited to be with you, and thank you for the invitation to your outstanding podcast, which I
Well,
listened in during the last
I
weeks.
appreciate it. The first time we tried to get together, you had travel problems, right? Your plane was delayed,
Yes.
weather or something. Yeah,
Yes, I'm a frequent flyer,
I'm
and
sure.
in 9 out of 10 cases, it goes well. And then there is this one case
Yeah.
where you wish you wouldn't be stuck on an airport.
I'm going to jump in with this. It's a quote from your book, The Image of Leadership. You have 7 seconds to make a first impression, make them count. We get this wrong, and how can you help us get this right?
First of all, I'm going to share a secret with you.
Okay, go.
The number 7 isn't even relevant. There
Okay.
are some studies out there that say we make first impressions in milliseconds, in
Wow.
13 seconds, in 4 seconds. They all focus on different things that we imprint on others during those
Okay.
first impressions. I just happen to always refer to one of those studies by NYU that I use for my work, and it says that in the first 7 seconds we make up to 11 major decisions about each other.
Wow.
But again, don't focus so much on the numbers.
Sure.
Like with every research, you will find different results out there. What I want you to focus more on is the fact that it happens automatically. And it has nothing to do with the fact if you're a good human being or not. We just judge each other in a blink of an eye.
Sure.
And unfortunately, afterwards, very powerful sources are working against us called unconscious biases, because the human being always wants to be right. We don't like to be wrong in our assumptions. So we continue to look for proof of what we initially thought about a person.
So, how do we get this right? How can you help us? Because you talk about how we present ourselves. That's a big focus of certainly your early work. So, what can we do to make that first impression, whether it's milliseconds or 7 seconds, to make it count? Give us some
Yeah.
tips.
Very simple and very complex alike. The simple answer is be intentional.
Okay.
Most of the day we run on autopilot. We just show up somewhere. Our subconscious mind leads us to say things, to do things, to behave in a certain way, and we are not really thinking about it. My work focuses on helping leaders understand that if they strategically and intentionally craft those first moments of an interaction with a client or with a team member or with a colleague, with any stakeholder, then unconscious biases will work in your favor because people are looking for proof. So if you show up in those first seconds exactly the way you want to show up, and also combined with the expectations of the person in front of you to fulfill those a little bit too, then you are crafting a very intentional first impression that will then help you afterwards that unconscious biases work for you and not against you.
Okay. So for those of you that are listening and you can't see Sylvie, let me kind of paint a picture of how she showed up today. So every picture I see of you and you right now, big, beautiful smile, like
Mhm,
you're probably very intentionally just lighting up your face, gorgeous blouse. And I
mhm.
notice your books on your desk there, they're all color coordinated. I'm sure that's on purpose.
Yes.
You have your brain diagram behind you, famous for. Tell me about what I'm looking at right now and what have you designed it to do for me? And then I'll tell you how it shows up for me.
Mhm. It's in intention, right? We make
Sure it
those
is.
first impressions in person, but way more nowadays we make it in some sort of digital way. We send out emails that make first impressions. We post
Right.
something on social media, and we are on virtual meetings. And so what behind me is intentional story that I'm trying to tell
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
my work and what is important to me. And you see the books that I have written, the journey that I went through.
Yeah.
I'm very blessed that you see some awards behind
Lots of
me,
trophies behind her.
lots of
Goodness.
trophy, and a flamingo. Just
Yeah.
to add a little bit of personality because I
Okay.
have a
Right.
passion for flamingos.
Okay. Very good. Let's make it really practical. So let's say I'm leading a board meeting
Mhm.
or maybe in a different setting, I'm meeting with a potential client. What do I really need to pay attention to when I walk in that boardroom or I walk in that meeting room to meet with that client?
I call it the ABCDE of your initial imprint. Very easy to remember.
Okay.
ABCDE. The A stands for your appearance, the way you look. Like it or not, humans are visual creatures. They're just gonna look at you when you walk into that boardroom. And in those first seconds, you don't often have the chance to say something amazing,
Right.
something that wows everybody in that boardroom. So you just walk in and they look at you and they look at your body image. Are you tall? Are you short?
Okay.
Are you overweight, underweight? Do you take care of your body? Hopefully, you are covered with clothes. What do the clothes say about you? Your accessories, your hair, the entire visual image that you create.
Okay.
80% of information gets transmitted in our brain in a visual way. And that's why it's so important. And I'm not talking about fashion, how you show up, but that you show up in an intentional way that the first thing that they see, which is you, instantly confirms in their brain this is the partner we are going to trust. This is the leader we're going to follow. This is the candidate we want to hire. But to be very clear, looking good is great, but it's not enough because then there is the B for your behavior. How are you going to interact with them instantly?
Okay.
Your attitude speaks louder than any words. You don't even have to open your mouth, and everybody in that boardroom will somehow feel subconsciously your attitude. Do you have charisma? Do you have social skills? Will you shake hands? Will you look into their eyes? So, how do you behave in those first moments?
Okay.
And then you're going to say something. That's why there is the C for communication. But before you say something, your body and your face already speaks, your nonverbal communication, your tone, your words, your voice, everything that you give out of your mouth. But here is a first important tip. Very often we have a tendency that we want to sound instantly interesting while we should sound interested instead. So, are you an active listener during those first
Right.
conversations? And then there is the D, and the D is a little bit a sweet spot I focus on, and that is your digital footprint. Because the reality is, usually when you walk into that boardroom, your first impression has already been made long before you walked into. People might have searched you on Google. What did they find? They might have looked at your social media profiles. They might have read emails from you. So they are already coming with pre-notions based on what they found digitally about you. And very often it actually determines if you ever will enter a room. And then there is your environment, the living and the non-living things you surround yourself. Non-living things like the car you arrived, or the things that you share about your house where you live, the vacations you go on. They put all of this into consideration. And even more important, the living humans you surround yourself with. Who is in your network? You know, the people that you surround yourself with also reflect back on you as well as you reflect on them. But people make assumptions about you based on the people you surround yourself with.
Okay.
And it is important to understand that all of those 5 elements matter. You can't look great and behave horribly. You can't say smart things, but then have a totally different approach online that kind of counterfights what you just said, right? It's the combination of those 5 elements that will help you to intentionally imprint a first impression on
Okay.
others.
That's good stuff. Everything about you, my interaction with you, emails with you, your online footprint, everything about you says energy and positive and
Mhm.
creativity. How did you get there? How did you get to be you? What are the roots of that?
Thank you very much. It only took 52 years. It only took 52 years to be me. But I have been in corporate myself. And I started out quite high as the chief of staff of a C-suite member. And it was fascinating and frustrating for me alike early in my career that nowadays I call it the busy bee challenge. I worked so hard. I worked so much. I was the first one coming to the office, the last one leaving. Every single project, every single task, every single problem landed on my desk. And I have to admit that I took some pride into it of how many people trust me with all those
Sure,
challenges. And I
sure.
was the constant fixer. And at the same time, I noticed that promotions are passing by one after the other. And I never got promoted out of that role. And I had to realize, first of all, why would my boss let me go if I'm this hard worker and my busy bee? And second, nobody in that big corporation actually knew what I'm good about, what I can really do. They just knew I'm going to take care of everything somehow, but they didn't
Okay.
know my real superpowers. And third, I totally blended in. Right? Was one of those corporate clones in my appearance, in my behavior, in my communication, because back then I thought this is the way to be successful. Work hard and look and behave and communicate like everybody else.
Okay.
And the opposite is true.
Yeah.
I had to learn to stand out from the crowd and to be uniquely me by still accepting the rules of the requirements. And by that, I mean there is a difference if you work for a software startup in Silicon Valley, or if you work for government, or if you work for a financial service firm in Manhattan. And it's not so much about the firms and the culture itself, yes, but it's about the type of clients that you will serve.
Sure.
The clients in the financial services industry, first and foremost, want to instantly feel trust. And so, how can you show this in your appearance, behavior, communication by still staying true to yourself? While, for example, clients that work with an agency, a media agency, instantly expect creativity. How do you show that in your appearance, behavior, communication? So it only took me 52 years to figure that out. And like every leader, I'm still making mistake
Yeah.
because you never know what you walk into. And I think one of the most important skills nowadays has become adaptability. And so you have to read the room and just do your best every single time.
Tell me about the courage it must have taken as your authentic self was slowly dying, as you said, becoming one of the suits, one of the clones, I think is what you said. The courage it took to be a little bit more authentically you, that was a brave step to begin to emerge out of this cocoon. Teach us how to generate that courage in those small steps as we begin to step into ourselves.
First, I want you to understand that authenticity is a lie.
Oh, this
And
should be
I
good.
know, yeah, I know that I'm speaking not the language of many others out there which present authenticity as a way you just do you, right? You can just be you. And I have given that advice in the past myself until
Okay.
I realized I'm not doing people a favor.
All right.
Because if you just do, you might not even do your best. And second, you are not respecting your environment. And I do believe in authenticity, but in a different way than I say. We all play roles. I play a role as a mother every single day. I play another role as a wife. I play another role as a speaker. I play another role as a volunteer. I play many roles in my life. And yes, I am 100% authentic in those roles. But just imagine I would behave and communicate with my husband the way I do with my clients, or with my children the way I do with my volunteer groups, right? So I adjust those roles authentically by respecting the environment I am
Okay.
in.
So we're still authentic to that version of ourselves that's in that boardroom or hanging out with the kids. You're not going to show up to a boardroom in your swim trunks and flip-flops. That
Exactly.
may be the authentic vacation you, but it's not the
Mhm.
authentic business you. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let me shift gears for a second. I got this quote of yours or this thought of yours, and it's this. What did taking the stairs teach you?
Oh, taking the stairs. So from the very first moment, it taught me a lot. To give you a little bit of a background, I lived 10 years in beautiful Manhattan in the highest residential tower. And the gym where I worked out was across the street. So I had to go down the elevator, just cross the street and go into the gym.
Okay.
And like many humans, I found so many excuses not to do that, right? Because
Sure.
especially for a New Yorker that's so far away across the street.
Across the street.
And when I realized, oh my God, all those excuses that I find, and I live in a building that has 76 floors, there is no excuse to go into the stairwells. So I started working out in the stairwells of my building and just walked up every single night. And one night I met people in there who were training, practicing for races, stair races, and I didn't even know that this is a thing. And so I asked them a few questions, and long story short, I got into running the One World Trade Center. I ran the Rockefeller Center. I ran the Eiffel Tower, the most beautiful buildings around the world. What it taught me is several things. First, to not allow excuses.
Okay.
Second, discipline that I think weaves like a red thread through my life. That once I decide to do something, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm also good in saying I'm not doing those things, and then I really don't do that. And the third thing, the most beautiful thing is after a while, I started to take my friends with me. So if you are not careful, HR, you're gonna find yourself in stairwells quite
Okay.
soon. And it's just a beautiful gift to bring humans with you that don't believe they can do something and then be in their presence when they arrive at the top and also realize, oh wow, I actually did this.
So I'm fascinated by this because I interview and hang around lots of high achieving leaders, and I'm fascinated by, and I myself do the thing I'm about to say, that we manufacture hardships for ourselves. We could choose much easier lives than we have. You don't have to take the stairs. There's an elevator right there, Sylvie. Just
Mhm.
elevator.
Yeah.
I'm 60 years old. I'm doing a Spartan race in September.
Oh, so exciting.
I've climbed Mount Rainier 8 times,
Yeah.
Kilimanjaro once. I don't need to do any of that stuff. What is it about leaders, and maybe some people in general, that we manufacture hardships? We manufacture artificial difficulties that challenge us. Why do we need that?
First of all, easy. Isn't it boring?
It is boring.
Easy is so boring.
But we work so hard to make it easy, and then we sign up for mud runs
Proudest.
and,
Yeah.
and
I
we
think
climb
it's,
stairs.
yeah. I think it's growth. I'm
Okay.
addicted to growth. And
Yeah.
I know when I get over that hurdle, I have been grown in some sort of way.
Right.
And this can be sports, or this can also be something totally different. I'm very involved in the National Speakers Association, which is the trade association for my profession. And I volunteer so much for this association because I care about the community, I care about our industry. And every time I volunteer, I notice how other volunteers at one point leave frustrated because they didn't get their way or something happened or whatever. And I go into these opportunities with the knowledge that at the end, when I'm through this committee, when I'm through this event, there is something that I'm going to learn from. And
Yeah.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait to meet it. I cannot wait to find out what it is this time that helps me grow by putting myself into those situations, even if some of them are uncomfortable.
I did a keynote last week and I talked about climbing Mount Rainier 8 times. And a person comes up afterward and says, "Why would you climb it 8 times? You've already seen the summit once. You already know what it looks like. Why would you climb it 8 times?" And I said, "Oh, I don't climb it for the summit. I don't climb it for the view. I climb it to discover myself in the climb."
Mhm.
And that's what you're talking about. We
Yes,
discover when we try hard things, writing a book or giving a keynote or building a company, we discover ourselves in that climb, right? That
yes,
yourself?
yes, yes. You meet a version of you that you would otherwise not
Yeah.
explore.
That's right. Let's talk about your speaking. You're a phenomenal speaker. You have all kinds of awards behind you. How did you come to the 3D presentation? That is fascinating. When I first saw that, my mind was blown. I've given about 4,000 talks. And the minute
Mm.
I saw this, I thought, I am so boring.
Oh
You're
no.
amazing.
Why?
How'd you create that?
Two things. Since you are a speaker, you know events very well, and I guess all of your audience members have been in conferences. And I very often force myself also to grow again, to not speak at conferences, but to sit in as an audience member, to
Okay.
put myself into the role of my customers, my clients, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is hard. It is so hard to be an audience member. It's the hardest job at any conference
I agree with
to
that.
keep attention with very often the same old, same format. There's an introduction, then there comes a keynote speaker, then they have a few slides, a few stories, and then stop and repeat. So I was always obsessed with the idea to use something different, and I have done this in my original keynotes already with some other methods, but then during the pandemic, I have to admit the pandemic was really tough on me.
Okay.
After my first virtual keynote, and I'm not talking Zoom call where you see faces, I'm talking a real keynote, me alone with a camera lens. I didn't even know if the people on the other side are on, if they are laughing, if they are there. I didn't hear somebody cough. I didn't hear a chair move, nothing.
Wow.
And I remember after that first keynote, I cried.
Oh,
And I called one of my mentors and best friends, and I said to her, if this is my future, I'm gonna quit. I can't do this. And she said something to me that stuck with me forever. She said, If that isn't your future, why don't you build your own one?
That's good.
And so while all the speakers in my industry were amping up their studios and buying microphones and switchers and lights and had the most amazing virtual studios at home, I was just sitting here and thinking, what could be next? What could be the thing when we hopefully return that nobody has ever experienced that can bring me back into the room with people? And that's where the journey started.
Amazing.
That's where it started. So the pandemic, in so many ways, as sad as it is, was a gift to me
Yeah.
to have the luxury to lock myself away. And what I learned and what I recommend you is when everybody is looking to the right, look to the left.
Okay.
There is where the magic is. There are the things that others oversee. There are the things that many people will tell you are not possible. But they are so busy with looking and working at the right that it's like a beautiful playground of innovation there where you can build and craft whatever you would like to craft.
Love it. What one piece of advice would you give us speakers that speak for a living? What could we do better?
Customize, customize.
Okay.
I think the times where customization for speakers was, I'm going to take my slide deck, I'm going to add the client's logo, I'm going to fill in some lines where I use words that sound familiar to them, are over.
Okay.
There is a degree and a level of audience intelligence in the meantime that they instantly feel if you crafted that keynote for them, or if it could be given in the next hour in the next room, next door.
Right.
I think customization has become more important than ever because the general knowledge, truth to be told, you and I can be replaced instantly with artificial intelligence.
Okay.
I don't know about you, but I can say with certainty nothing that I know is not known already on the internet
Right.
and couldn't be spit out by ChatGPT with
Okay.
a smart prompt in
Yeah.
just a few seconds.
Okay.
So our added value is bringing this more into the context of our audience's world and offering an experience that is better than the knowledge that ChatGPT can provide you in the meantime in milliseconds.
I'm writing that down. That's fantastic. Thank you. Earlier, you mentioned mistakes and failures that you made. I'd love to learn from you. What have your failures taught you?
Let's stick with the speaking. I remember when I decided to become a speaker, the first thing I obviously thought about was my logo and my URL and my website, all the things that you think that are important. So I crafted a beautiful logo, Success Development Group. If you haven't instantly noticed, those are also my initials. So I was so incredibly proud.
That's, yeah,
But it didn't say anything about who you are, who I am, what I have to offer, what I actually do, what my superpower is, what my added value is, what the ROI for my clients is. And the first 2 years of my speaking career were horrible, horrible, absolutely unsuccessful because I thought that whenever somebody reached out, do you want me to speak about body language? Sure. Do you want me to speak about leadership? Sure. Do you want me to speak about communication? Sure. Do you want me to speak about crisis? Sure. As long as you give me a check, I'm gonna speak about it. And it's, when you are in front of a pond, I tried to throw in fish food into the pond, hoping
okay.
that one of the fishes jumps out one day. And it never did. It rarely did. Because I had to realize and learn that people want to hire experts. And the more you commit to a specific expertise, the more you niche yourself down. It's like instead of throwing food into the fish pond, you have a hook.
Okay.
And then your role is just showing that hook to the right people and they're gonna grab it.
So do you agree with the phrase, there are riches in the niches?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely. I think so. Look, I think when you captured one niche and you are so well known in that niche, there is no reason that you couldn't capture the next niche, right? Or the next topic. But let me give you an example, HR. Tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up in your bed and you are sweaty and cold alike, and you are somehow dizzy, and your heart is racing, and you just feel very unwell. And since you have a history of heart diseases in your family, you know that you instantly want to see somebody to check on this. Would you rather want to see a heart expert or a general doctor at this
Sure.
moment?
Of course. Okay. Okay.
So, yeah, a heart, most people say a heart expert.
Of course.
And sure, there are some who say I get a faster appointment with the general doctor, but chances are the general doctor will refer you to whom?
The heart
Back to the
specialist.
heart expert.
What are you most proud of, Sylvie? When you go through the Rolodex of all your
Thank you very much.
accomplishments,
Thank you for such a. What I'm most proud of is the job I didn't ask for, I haven't been trained for, and I'm still learning every single day,
uh,
and that is being a mother
okay.
to two wonderful, now teenage children. And it is a journey I embarked on. I had no idea how hard, but also how fulfilling and how fun it's going to be and how challenging.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the day I'm going to say goodbye to this world, all the things that I do on stage and they write into books, I hope that they mattered too. But what matters most to me is the impact I have had on those two human beings.
Yeah, I agree with that. What's next for you? You're a big thinker,
Oh,
you're a creator.
yes.
There's gotta be something next.
Do you see it in my eyes, the
Of
excitement?
course, you if you can't see her face just lit up when I said what's
Yeah,
next.
yeah.
Sylvie, what's next for you?
So here's the thing, the 3D immersive holographic experience took me 4 years,
Wow.
4 years to develop. And now I am so blessed that the market really responds to it and hires me and wants to experience this. But I also know that there is a time stamp on it.
Sure.
And if the next thing again takes me 4 years to develop, or maybe longer or shorter, I don't know, then I rather start now
You,
thinking about
you
it.
better get working on it.
Yes, and so I already started working on it, and
Okay.
it's something similar, magical, and never seen before. And
Okay.
the beauty this time is that the people I exchange those ideas are already telling me, oh, there's a problem, and this is not gonna work. And do you really want to do this? And how are I gonna find? And I'm, oh my God, you have no idea how how exciting this is for me, because the first time I have proven so many people wrong. And then when you have critics in your life
Sure.
who challenge you and question you. Of course, there's always some things you should listen to, but in general, I always say, oh, enjoy those critics because one day you're gonna be the benchmark. You're gonna be the new benchmark to them.
That's beautiful. I finish every podcast with this sort of question. We're the Leader's Edge is my company, the Leader's Edge. I'm
Mhm.
passionate about giving back to the leaders that are coming behind us, empowering them to lead our world even better than we have to make an impact and make a mark. So, Sylvie, based on everything you've learned, your amazing successes and mistakes that you've made, let's say you're talking to a young man, young woman, just maybe coming out of college or trade school or starting a company on their own, an entrepreneur. What's the one piece of advice you would tell that young person? Pay
Mhm.
attention to this.
Obviously, my core expertise forces me now to say, pay attention on the way you show up all the
Okay,
time
sure.
intentionally, but especially for somebody who enters the workforce. Very often I hear people telling them, just look for your passion, right? Just follow your passion. Whatever you are obsessed about, just look for this. And I find this a very dangerous advice for young people entering the workplace because, first of all, they usually have to pay bills, right?
Yeah.
And not every passion pays bills the same way. And second, I would encourage you to wait and find your real passion, to explore and to experience. I have had no idea back then what my real passion is. I
Right.
would have given you a way different answer than I would give you nowadays. And I think the gift of trying out and failing and growing is that it will lead you to your real passion
Yeah.
and then go for it.
Okay.
And because then you have the experience also to execute this in a way based on the years of experience that you brought to the table at this point.
That's beautiful. Sylvie, thank you so much for your time today.
Well,
I appreciate the honor, your creativity, your
oh,
energy, your experience, your wisdom. I know it's impacted me for sure. I know it's going to impact all of our listeners, and I hope that we can stay connected as our journey continues.
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I truly appreciate it. What a great format you have, and I love how you're focused on serving your audience. Thanks so much for allowing me to experience that.
Thanks, Sylvie. Well, that's it for today's show. Thank you for joining us on The Leader's Edge. I hope today's conversation inspired you to lead with even greater purpose and passion. So, here are my three big takeaways from my conversation with Sylvie, and she is a powerhouse. Number one, be intentional about how you show up. Follow Sylvie's A, B, C, D, E advice for making those very first few seconds count for you. Number two, never stop learning. And we hear this from about every single guest we have. Success comes from growth. Sylvie has had great success at every level, but she's still learning about herself and pushing her own boundaries. Growth is the key to success. And number three, yes, be authentic, but consider context. Be authentic in each and every one of your roles. How you show up in a boardroom should be different than how you show up to your spouse or kids or friends. In each role or context, you should consider how to be respectful and intentionally authentic. Great advice. All right, if you enjoyed this episode of The Leader's Edge, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. I'd love a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more leaders like you, and that's the point, to raise the bar for leaders around the world, because when we grow, we change the world. Please stay connected with us on social media for behind-the-scenes content, leadership insights, and updates on future episodes. Don't forget to check us out at yourleadersedge.com and follow us at Leaders Ed Podcast on all major platforms. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries, keep leading at the edge. I'm HR Huntsman. We'll see you soon.